Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Many people know about IQ. It is a common idea in our world, used very often. Often, people think IQ is the best way to measure how smart someone is. They believe it gives a clear, strong number for a person's ability to think, learn, and solve problems. This number seems to tell us exactly how intelligent someone is, in a very formal and objective way. But a very important question is, are these tests really correct? Can a single test truly show all of a person's intelligence? Or is intelligence more complex than one score? We need to look carefully at whether these scores truly reflect a person's full abilities. This book will explore where the idea of IQ came from, starting from its very first days. It will also look at what these tests actually measure and what they can tell us about a person's life, good and bad. Today, many IQ tests can be found online. These online tests are often free and easy to take from your home, sometimes just for fun. However, there is a big difference between these online quizzes and official IQ tests. Official tests are often given by special groups or trained psychologists in a controlled setting. Many experts do not believe that online tests are truly valid or accurate enough for serious use. They might be entertaining, but they may not give a true picture of your actual IQ score. Another key question often asked is about practice. Can a person study or practice for an IQ test and then get a better score? Some people believe that by doing many practice puzzles and learning how the tests work, you can improve your results. They think that if you train your brain, your score on an official test can go up significantly. We will think about this idea. Can you truly make yourself smarter for the test? Or is your core intelligence something that cannot be changed by practice alone? This chapter sets the stage for our full exploration of IQ. 2. A new idea about school grades. In 1904, an English psychologist named Charles Spearman began to study school grades. He wanted to see how students' performance in one subject, like English, related to their performance in another, like math. He wondered if there was a link between them. Spearman considered three possible connections for grades. One was a negative connection. If a student did well in math, they might do worse in English. Perhaps they spent more time on math, leaving less time for other subjects. A second possibility was no connection at all. This meant a student's grade in one subject would not tell you anything about their grade in another. Different subjects need different skills, so scores might be completely separate. The third idea was a positive connection. If a student did well in math, they would also tend to do well in English. This would mean being good at one subject likely meant being good at others. To study these links, Spearman used correlation. This is a way to measure how two things are related. A number shows this connection from -1 to +1. A -1 means a perfect negative link. A +1 means a perfect positive link, so both things move together. A 0 means no connection at all. When Spearman checked the grades, he found a clear positive connection. Students who got good grades in math usually got good grades in English too. This was also true for other subjects they studied. This finding was important for understanding intelligence. 3. Smart in everything. After looking at many student grades, Charles Spearman made an interesting discovery. He found that students who did well in one school subject usually did well in all subjects. For example, if a student got good grades in math, they often got good grades in English too. This was also true for subjects like classics and French. He saw a clear pattern. Being strong in one area often meant being strong in others. To explain this pattern, Spearman came up with the idea of general intelligence. He called this the G factor. He believed that everyone has a certain level of this general intelligence. This G factor helps people learn new things, understand patterns, and think critically. It does not matter what the subject is. If a student had a high G factor, they usually scored well in all their classes. If their G factor was low, they tended to do poorly across all subjects. However, the connection between subjects was not always perfect. This led Spearman to propose other factors. He called these S factors, meaning specific factors. These S factors were special skills for one subject only. For instance, a student's score in math was a mix of their general intelligence, G, and their specific skill for math, S. These S factors could help or hurt a student's performance in just that one particular area. Spearman thought that people could train and improve their S factors. For example, you could study more to get better at a specific skill, like writing or solving math problems. But he also believed that the general intelligence, the G factor, was something fixed. He thought you could not change your basic level of overall smartness. His goal was to find a way to measure this unchangeable general intelligence. 4. The first test for children. Around the same time that Charles Spearman was doing his work, another important development happened in France. A man named Alfred Binet was asked to help find children who needed more support in school. He worked with Theodore Simon to create a new test, the Binet-Simon test. This test had 30 tasks. Children might point out what was missing from a picture, explain words like goodness, or repeat sentences. They even chose which of two faces looked prettier. These tasks showed how a child's mind worked. After the test, a child's performance was compared to others of different ages. If a child did as well as an average 8-year-old, their mental age was 8. This idea was key. To find a number for a child's intelligence, a simple formula was used. The child's mental age was divided by their real age, then multiplied by 100. This calculation gave them the intelligence quotient, or IQ. This is how the first IQ score was born. The Binet-Simon test was the world's first. Henry H. Goddard translated it to English and brought it to America. At Stanford University, Louis Terman changed the test. He used many American children to make it work well for them. It became the famous Stanford Binet test, used widely in America for decades. 5. How IQ tests are made. Modern IQ tests aim to measure general intelligence, known as the G factor. They use many different types of questions to test various mental skills. These include memory, understanding words, seeing shapes and patterns in space, and working with numbers. By combining scores from many tasks, test makers try to get a clear picture of overall intelligence. This method helps reduce the effect of being good at only one specific skill. Often, these tests have 7 to 10 sections with distinct tasks. After taking an IQ test, raw scores are standardized to make them fair and comparable. This means the average score for a large group of people is always set to 100. If you score 100, you are at the average level for the population. This helps compare one person's score to others easily. Most scores form a pattern called a bell curve. This shows that about 68% of people score between 85 and 115. Only a small percentage, about 2%, score above 130 or below 70. IQ tests include different kinds of puzzles. One common type is Raven's progressive matrices. These puzzles show a 3x3 grid with symbols, but one square is empty. You must look at the patterns in the symbols and choose the correct missing one from a list. These patterns can involve shapes moving, turning, or changing in other logical ways. A key part of modern IQ tests is time pressure. All questions must be answered quickly. Test takers usually have only about 10 to 30 seconds for each question. This strict time limit adds difficulty, as you need to think fast and make quick decisions to finish on time. 6. What IQ scores can show. IQ tests, even if short, can show surprising things about a person's life. For example, people with higher IQs often have slightly larger brains. A study from 2005 found a connection between IQ scores and brain size. So, sometimes a higher IQ can literally mean a big brain. These scores can also predict school success. In 2007, a Scottish psychologist, Ian Deary, studied 13,000 11-year-old children's IQs. 5 years later, these students took important school exams. Mr. Deary found a strong link. Their IQ scores at age 11 were closely connected to their exam results at age 16. This means an IQ test at 11 can predict much of their exam success later. IQ also helps predict success in complex jobs. The U.S. military, for instance, uses IQ tests for new soldiers. They do not accept anyone with an IQ below 80. They also limit how many people with IQs between 81 and 92 can join. During the Vietnam War, these rules were made less strict. But many new soldiers with lower IQs struggled, and thousands died at a higher rate. The military quickly reinstated its original IQ requirements. A higher IQ might even be linked to living longer. Another Scottish study looked at 11-year-olds' IQ scores. 65 years later, they checked who was still alive at 76. They found that people with higher IQs were more likely to live longer. Many other studies confirm this trend. Finally, IQ scores show a weak link to how much money a person earns. Studies show a higher IQ might mean a bit more money, but this link is not very strong. Some people with lower IQs earn a lot, and some very smart people do not earn much. Other things, like job choice or personal effort, are often more important for income than just IQ. 7. A dark history. The history of IQ testing in America holds a dark past. When the Binet test arrived in the United States, its original purpose changed. In France, Alfred Binet wanted to help students. But in America, the test began to rank adults, based on the belief that a person's intelligence could not change. This idea soon connected to the eugenics movement. This movement wanted to stop people with undesirable traits from having children. IQ test scores were used to decide who these people were. Many states passed laws for forced sterilization. This meant people with low IQ scores were made unable to have children. The Supreme Court said these laws were legal in 1927. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote that it was better for society to stop unfit people from having children. Over 60,000 people were forcibly sterilized because of these laws. These laws even inspired actions in Nazi Germany. Words like moron and idiot, now insults, were once scientific terms for low intelligence. IQ tests were also used to suggest differences between races. For example, there was an observed gap in average IQ scores between Black and white Americans. However, comparing scores across very different cultures is difficult. The tests may not measure true intelligence for everyone, because cultures have different ways of thinking and learning. Also, average IQ scores can change over time even within the same country. This is called the Flynn effect. Some tests tried to be culture fair by using pictures and shapes. But even these tests had problems. They often ignored how cultures differ in understanding shapes or space. They also missed other important types of intelligence, like knowing about plants, training animals, or surviving in nature. These skills are very important in some parts of the world, more than solving abstract puzzles. A test made for one group cannot be assumed to be good for a very different group. The true worth of a person cannot be measured by a single test score. 8. What we think now. After looking closely at IQ tests, we understand they are a way to measure some mental abilities. But many things can influence a test score. For example, if someone feels worried or nervous during the test, their score might be lower. Also, knowing there is a reward for doing well can sometimes make scores higher, especially for people who usually score lower. Simply practicing and understanding the types of questions can also help improve results. Today, IQ tests are used in helpful ways. In hospitals, doctors use them to understand people's learning needs and offer support. In courts, these tests can provide important information about a person's mental ability, which is vital in serious legal matters. Importantly, these tests can also help find bright students from different backgrounds who might otherwise be overlooked, giving them chances in special school programs. We need a balanced view of IQ. These tests are useful tools, showing some of a person's skills and potential. However, they do not tell the whole story of a person. It is a big mistake to judge someone's value or worth only by their IQ score. Our ability to care for others, to be creative, and to help our communities are also very important parts of who we are. What truly makes us smarter is being open to new ideas and different experiences. When we are willing to try new things, learn new skills, and meet new people, we grow and expand our knowledge. Our lives are rich with many kinds of intelligence, far beyond what any single test can measure. So, what do you believe is the most important part of true intelligence?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.